by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm Mary Yerina.
I'm John DeSando. This is It's Movie Time. Mary, I know you just kept back from Spain, so, da. So what do you say, let's shift over a little bit to England.
Yes.
All right, now,
go across the pond.
There's nothing I'm a sucker for. It's definitely period pieces from the monarchy in Great Britain. And here we have Judi Dench reprising, I'm sure, her role as Victoria. Not the first time for her.
No.
And not the first time that we've had Queen Victoria involved with somebody else.
This is true. Mrs. Brown, I think, was her first crack at Queen Victoria, and also about a relationship that the Queen formed after the death of her much beloved husband.
Yeah.
And having just gotten back from Spain, this was the first movie I saw, and I felt like I was being wrapped in a warm blanket of masterpiece theater.
Isn't it the truth? I know it, my Lord. We're getting into it too soon here. Victoria and Abdul is the film. It came out last week, so it's still playing. Unusual for us maybe to be a little bit late on that,
bit late.
I just like these pieces so much that I'm very happy that we're able to do it. So, this relationship with Victoria, what's her problem?
Well, I think I saw Judi Dench in an interview about this film, and she articulated it really well because she's the same age as Victoria that she portrayed in the film. And she said, she's at an age where her friends are passing away.
Yeah.
And she, even though we think of Judi Dench as Dame Judi Dench and out in Hollywood and London and theater and all that she does, but she talked about how she's lonely without even having the burdens of court protocol and being Empress of India and Queen of England on her shoulders. But she could relate to that really well, and I think that's what makes her such an embodiment of Victoria in this film, that you just want to keep watching her play this role. But she just played that period of life of aging and losing friends and becoming lonely so well.
Crusty,
yes.
Just negative, and
I think in a certain way very defensive as a way to protect herself.
Yeah. And that one scene toward the beginning, which is a tour de force of eating and protocol. There's this table, must be 50 people at this table, and she's at the head, and they're eating.
But they have to follow her and and when she finishes her course, all of their plates are removed for that course. And so they're all trying to eat fast because she's doing nothing but
she's wolfing it down.
Gluttony of eating
and then
fast.
she takes a little nap.
Yes.
So it's really pretty good. And then she meets Abdul.
She does.
Oh, this tall, handsome Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really a clerk.
Yes.
Yeah, had been a clerk. So
had been a clerk, and his one qualification for being picked for this duty to come to the royal court and present the Queen with, I forget what the technical name of it was, but it's like a coin.
Oh, yes.
In recognition of her jubilee.
That's right, yes.
And he was picked because he was tall.
Yeah.
He was the tallest one in the corps where he worked for the British in India. So he's picked because he's tall.
Oh, and, when she first sees him, she remarks how handsome he is. And so she's got a little bit of a spark going on there.
She does.
And he is a charmer. And I think it was in true life. He charmed her. But as you said when you introduced it, she was open to be charmed.
She was. And I also think when you say charmed, he wasn't doing it with any type of agenda, so to speak. He just was a naturally charming man.
Got it.
And I think very innocent in his approach to the Queen. And even though he was instructed on protocol, he just was overwhelmed by meeting her, the Empress of India, and the occasion of the moment, and makes eye contact with her, which is what sparks the relationship that then ensued.
Because that's not something you were able to do. He was
No.
instructed not to do it.
Yeah.
He does it, and they click. And I think you bring up a point that's really important to me, is that granted, he has no appearance of doing anything other than serving the Empress. But I don't know it. One of the things I don't know is I don't know him. I don't know Abdul, darn it. And that's one part of the film that I have a reservation about, is here's this guy who you appropriately described, and we can see her attachment to him. But
I agree. That when I walked away from the film, I was totally charmed by the film itself.
Yeah.
And by Judi Dench's performance, and Ali Fazal, who plays Abdul,
Yes.
his performance. But I left going, I wish I knew more about Abdul. And the thing that I thought was really ironic was his story wasn't known until a journalist uncovered it in about 2010, which is from when the book and then this movie was produced. And so I was thinking it was his diaries that they discovered.
No.
And it was really from his viewpoint, but the movie was crafted clearly with a focus on the Queen and her viewpoint. And quite frankly, if you've got Judi Dench playing the role, why wouldn't you focus on that? But I was hungry to learn more about Abdul and his side of this, what I think was a very, even though she was queen and he was servant, I think in terms of human connection, it was a very balanced relationship.
Oh, yeah.
The way it was portrayed.
Some of the source for this is her handwritten Urdu that she must have been doing when he was teaching her the language. And they also got that, so that's where we get some of her point of view about this relationship.
Which is ironic that her son, who was Bertie,
was
bent on destroying...
Eddie Izzard. Wonderful.
He was really good at this. He was bent on destroying all the evidence, and in the movie they actually show him discovering that journal written in Urdu.
Yeah.
And it maybe because it was the Queen's,
yes,
he couldn't destroy it. But anything that was Abdul's related to their relationship, he destroyed.
Yeah.
So it was really a gift of history that Abdul's journals were hidden away and discovered 100 years after his death to share with us about this relationship.
Yeah. I think in the case of Victoria, what I really found so intriguing was her strength, which is Judi Dench's strength as well, her strength of character. And there's that one scene where she faces down the whole retinue of people who serve her, who are revolting against her, actually.
Yeah, because of Abdul.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how much this relationship caused consternation in them. And I'm thinking, gosh, this must be like the Trump administration. You've got all these people vying for the king, in his case, vying for his attention, and and in her case, she faces them down beautifully, and they back away, of course, because they're all really prompted by people like Bertie. And what about the spectacle, Mary?
I could watch Stephen Frears and directed and costume period produced films, and especially since part of this was actually shot at Osborne House, which was one of Victoria's residences.
In the Isle of Wight.
In the Isle of Wight, and it's actually where Queen Victoria died. And so you're just watching just all of this courtly beauty and the costumes and the locations, and you just feel transported. It was wonderful.
I can't believe, I think it was the Isle of Wight in which I went to see Tennyson's grave and so on, and I missed Osborne Hall.
Uh-oh. You got to go back.
I know. I mean, that's why I hate these movies. That place I've been, why haven't I seen this? Frears, you mentioned Frears. He also directed her in Philomena.
Mm-hmm. And in Mrs. Brown, actually.
And Mrs. Brown, right, yeah.
Yes, so I think this is about their 7th or 8th project together.
Is that right?
So they probably, I would think, as a director and actress, have a little bit of a shorthand at play.
Yeah.
And it was probably, I'm guessing, a pretty easy role for him to direct her in.
I agree. Lee Hall, the writer, wrote for Billy Elliot. And so that's another fine production. So I think we've got provenance here.
Yes.
that will get your attention. And if currently out there is the Viceroy's house, which is set much later, but again about the breakup of India into Pakistan and India, and also another British period piece. So if you're like Mary and me, you might be interested. But anyway, Mary Yerina, it's the moment.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Do I have to give Dame Judi Dench a grade?
Well, let's just talk about the film.
Okay.
What grade would you award this film called Victoria and Abdul?
Oh, I think it's one that people will really enjoy. And if it weren't for a little bit lessening of the story of Abdul,
Yes.
I would give it a higher grade, but I'm going to give it a B+.
Oh, you're wonderful, because that's exactly what I am, for exactly the reservation I have, which is only our film critic picky way
Yes.
of telling you it's a superb film,
It
and
is.
you have to know that we're really tough on this, and we're going to award it a B+. But
We are.
basically, if you want to have a great date, I think this is the one, because it'll get you talking about Great Britain.
Well, and it's just, and at the end, even if you have certain views of the imperialism issue, the Abdul as a servant being subject to Queen Victoria.
Great point.
It's really, at the end of the day, a film about a relationship of two people across class lines, across positions in society. For some reason, that mysterious connection that we sometimes make with other human beings, and that's at the end what this film is about, and it's lovingly portrayed.
And that's what It's Movie Time is all about.